It's the Indie Horror Junkie Podcast, your source for anything and everything indie horror. Here's your host, Otis B. Dreads. It is 8 p.m. Eastern Time on a Wednesday hump day. That can only mean one thing. Indie Horror Junkie. That's right, you're home for indie horror. Right here, the Indie Horror Junkie Podcast. I am Otis B. Dreads, and of course, right there, Rotting Ricky D. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. I had to include all of my personalities in there, apparently. We have a great show tonight. Miss April Hunter is going to join us momentarily. She's running just a little bit behind, but we got lots to talk about before she joins us. So let's get some of the, you can observe all of the links down there. The website where you can get the digital version and a print version of the Indie Horror Junkie magazine. So that seems like a better, a good segue into, let's talk a little bit about that. You can get print versions. Where can people get them? Of course, over there at indiehorrorjunkie.com. Look at that. That is beautiful.
Isn't it pretty?
That is beautiful.
Nice glossy paper. Looks fabulous. I've got every issue imaginable right here. And they're all going to be on the site.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, those are pretty. And who, again, let's give the shout out. Who, again, did the printing for you?
Yes, it's my friend. He works with Florida Ride or Die magazine. They've got their own print setup right now. They're offering deals for people that want to start their own magazine. They got tired of having to pay the ridiculous prices of the normal printing services and having to buy enormous amounts of magazines. Now they'll go real small runs and real cheap prices. I mean, tell them Rick from Indie Horror Junkie sent you, and he'll give you a great deal, and you can start your own magazine like we did.
That's right. I mean, it's so awesome because you had mentioned it off air last week after the show, just how much Indie Horror Junkie has grown. I think you said your daughter had brought up, wow, Dad, it's only been a year, and here we got the magazine went from digital to print. A film festival is coming, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk a little bit about this film festival. We got close to 50 submissions the last time that I looked. It's pushing the 50 submissions mark. Of course, the early bird is over, so hopefully you got yours in time and got a good deal there. February 2nd through the 4th. In Orlando at MegaCon. I've got my hotel set up. I'm going to be out there. You get to meet all of us junkies, but the best part isn't really that, although you may think that's the best part. The best part, it's a pretty good part. No, it's the one part I'm personally looking forward to.
Me too.
But not only that, man, we're going to have a whole weekend of indie horror, of films, new filmmakers, young filmmakers. I mean, this is going to be panels. We're going to have panels with some of the filmmakers, some special guests, some swag. We got some T-shirts that's going to be there. And of course, you could probably pick up the magazine as well. This is going to be a great, great weekend, Rick. I can't wait.
Yeah, the festival is going to be something really cool because for the first thing, it's going to be held within MegaCon. And MegaCon, I'm not sure for anybody who's been to MegaCon, it is one of the craziest conventions I've ever been to. They, I think they average around 150 to 160,000 people that come there for that weekend. So there's going to be people everywhere, all kinds of vendors, cosplayers, amazing guests, and everything else. I've had film festivals there in the past, and they've all been usually on the second or third floor, and there's still a lot of people walking around there. But this year we're going to be on the main floor, where it's going to be an absolute insane madhouse. So, and that's why we want our festival to kind of stand out. We're going to have tables in front of the room. We're going to be selling our swag. We'll have the magazine. We'll have T-shirts. We'll have buttons. We'll have all kinds of stuff there. You'll get to meet the junkies. And then inside, we're going to have 3 days of all indie horror feature films, short films. We've got a horror special effects panel that's going to be happening. We have the filmmakers behind the horror movie The Inn that are going to be there premiering a trailer and talking about it, Q&As. We're going to have other filmmaker Q&As. We're going to have horror trivia, giving stuff away. It's going to be insane. I mean, everybody's going to walk out of there and everybody's going to know what Indie Horror Junkie is and all about.
And well deserved. This is going to be a crazy time. I've never been to a MegaCon.
Oh my God.
and there's apparently a reason they call it MegaCon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a great event. It really is, because it's huge. I mean, the Orange County Convention Center, where it's held at, is insanely big, but it's almost too big sometimes, because it's like on the main floor when you're walking through trying to get to all the vendors, it's like Times Square on New Year's Eve. You know, if you remember those images and stuff on TV, it's so hard to even move sometimes. But that makes it cool, because you never know who you're going to see or what you're going to see, and it's just it's something to remember. It really is.
Well, it's going to be a great time. And again, I can't wait. Hope to meet all of you junkies out there. We do have Molly, and Jamie has joined us. Molly Zombie says, I can't wait. And
Molly's going to be there.
Molly is going to be there. So if no other reason, come and see Molly.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
Anywhere Molly is, he gets a crowd, and she lights them up. She really does, because she's something that I mean, you got to experience. It's hard to really talk about her, but the moment that she comes to life, it's everybody comes around her. I remember, so I think it's going to be great there.
And I'm really hoping that Jose Castro feeds her before he breaks her, please.
I think that's what he's thinking the junkies are for.
Oh, I know, right? Feeding time. Jamie, welcome, dear. She is trying to plan her vacation in February, and that would be very awesome. For any new listeners, of course, Miss Jamie Hill of Skinamarink. Great film. Speaking of films, I am just full of segues. If nothing else, I have segues for days.
Yes.
The Clock, your film is having its premiere tomorrow night, is it?
Well, technically we had a premiere already, and we were on a deadline, so we went ahead and we got what we wanted to get done. But we still had 2 more good scenes that we really wanted to add to the film. One of them we added. It hasn't been seen yet, except for by a couple of people, I think. And then we had one really big scene that actually included April Hunter that we just completed on the 18th of last month, and we got it edited in there. It's all ready to go. So now the film is finally complete. So that version, for the first time ever, is going to be premiering at the Tampa Bay Underground Film Festival in Port Richey tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is opening night of T-Buff. They're going to run through Sunday, and tomorrow night, pretty much our film is the only feature film that'll be screening. I think they have a couple of shorts that'll go there as well, but our feature will be the only film feature screening, and we are really excited to see it in its glory.
I can't wait to see it. I'm, as I've mentioned before on the show, I'm one of those hard copy kind of guys. I have to have hard copies of. I mean, digital is great if you want to take. Yes, exactly. You're one of those hard copy guys.
I am definitely one of those guys.
Digital is great. You're watching it on demand. It's good. It's portable and whatever. But to have a physical copy in hand. That's what I like to have anyway. April,
Mhm.
Amy says Amy has joined us.
Hey.
Guys, Asylum Amy. April killed her scene in the clock.
Yeah, she did good. She did really good. And Salo, our DP editor and special effects extraordinaire, he added some really cool stuff that I think people are gonna really like it. It's a very strong scene. It adds some backstory that we wanted to do. It adds a really good solid kill in there as well, and I think it brings some of it together, and also it adds runtime to the film, which is something that we wanted to do. But I mean, I'm really excited about how it came out.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, I haven't seen it, completely, obviously, but I mean, the trailer looks fantastic, and of course, Amy is in the clock as well.
She's the main star.
That's right. I mean,
Mhm.
so we got a couple minutes. We're just waiting for April to join us. She has her own podcast that she's trying to jump off here real quick off of hers, jump on ours. She's doing the podcast, bar
Shuffle.
hop, shuffle, the podcast shuffle. Yeah.
Mhm.
So she'll be here momentarily, I promise. Pro wrestler, actress, fitness model, and then, you know, just for shits and giggles, let's write some children's books.
Yeah.
That's kind of an odd combination, if you ask me. But
Mhm.
I'm really excited to take and talk to her about these children's books. I have a grandson. Hey, so we'll see.
Mhm.
We'll see.
Absolutely. We had her
Um,
at my at one of my events a couple of months ago, and she had her children's book there, and it was really cool, and it was a really interesting story. So I was really surprised. I mean, don't know why I shouldn't be. She's incredibly talented, but it
right.
just to go from horror and wrestling and this and that to children's book seemed like a weird little thing, whatever it is. But she nailed it.
She's a woman of many talents,
Yeah,
apparently.
she is.
Um, Wrestling. Have you ever been into wrestling? Have you ever been a fan of wrestling at all?
I was never a fan of wrestling growing up. My nephew is huge into wrestling, and I didn't like it because I used to tell people it's fake, and they'd get upset at me. It's fake, and I don't mean fake as in like the people in the ring are performing things that are fake. No, those guys are incredible athletes and everything. I've seen what they can do. It's crazy. But what I
Sure.
mean is like the outcome and the stuff like that. So I never really got into it. But the more I started watching it because of him, the more I started seeing the storylines like The Undertaker and this and that, and
Mhm.
how the audience got into it, and people out in the audience dressed in character, and them incorporating the fans into it. And for that, to me, it's like it became an incredible event to where it's like, man, if they continue doing this, I mean, for entertainment purposes alone, it's absolutely worth it because of all the different storylines and characters. It was like a live movie. So
Yeah.
for that, I'm all for it. But I just don't consider it a sport. But it's incredible entertainment.
Yeah, I was one of those 10-year-old kids who would get mad at my mom if she told me it was fake.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'll never forget. It was a 2020 episode that showed 2020, and they had Hulk Hogan on there who was showing some of the secrets of the
Mhm.
whole blood. They get hit, they go under the
Yep.
the apron and do whatever and come out blood. And I was like,
I know.
you should have
Ripped your
just
heart
told
out.
me. It really did. And honestly, it was like right around that same time. I hope none of the kids are listening, but I found out some truth about Santa Claus.
What?
Yeah, around that time. So it was like at 10 years old, man, I found out wrestling was, what was orchestrated and scripted and all that, whereas before I didn't believe that. And then, yes, the jolly old man. It was a rough year. I don't want to go into that.
Was that last year?
Last year, yeah. This year is going to be tough.
It's going to be tough. Yes.
But we got a lot to talk about
Yeah.
with April, and I can't wait to have her join in. Um,
Mhm.
So let's talk. What is Rick doing? What's Rick got coming up in the future for some projects? Do you have anything in the works now that the clock is making its premieres, and it's because that was your last big project, the clock, right?
The last big project, because it was a feature film, so that was a huge undertaking and stuff. But
Right.
to finally have it complete, I'm really excited about. It's going to premiere, like I said, at T-Buff tomorrow. There's got a couple of more film festivals that we entered it into because we're being real select about that process. So the
Hmm.
next step is to start preparing it for distribution, to start getting it out there. We're going to produce a special edition Blu-ray that's going to have a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff. So we're really excited about that. But also at T-Buff, I've actually got 4 films playing there. I've got The Clock, which is tomorrow, and then the rest of the weekend, I've got Halloween, or Halloween Death Walks Among Us. We've got Chapter 2 premiering there. That has also been released recently on YouTube. And then we have the final chapter, Chapter 3, End of Dreams, that will be premiering as well at T-Buff. And right after it premieres at T-Buff, then we're going to go ahead and put it out on YouTube so that way everybody can see the closure to the trilogy and all the madness that we ensued. So we've got those. I also have a short film called Secret Santa that I did last year that they wanted to put out there. It's only about 6 minutes long, but I'm really proud of it. So that'll be playing there at T-Buff as well. And then Amy and I are getting together to write and produce another feature film early next year called White Elephant that we're very, very excited about. So that's going to be something really cool, and we're going to take our time with that one and make something that's really going to stand out. We like to look at it as Drag Me to Hell meets Scream. So that'll just give you a little taste of what we're looking at. But
Oh.
we are really, really excited about this one. It's got a great premise, a great story. We're picking some great cast members, and we'll be shooting that sometime probably around summertime.
That sounds really cool. Here you go, Rick. Where do I find your audition castings?
Oh yeah. I usually promote stuff through Facebook, my own personal Facebook page. So definitely go there. You'll also see me repeat some stuff on the Indie Horror Junkie Facebook page as well. But for the most part, I put all my casting calls there. I also run a group called Tampa Bay Filmmakers that you can see. It's free to join. We've got almost 5,000 members in there now, and I double my casting calls in there as well. So because we pretty much keep it local, or at least people that can, because we have some people in the film that are from out of state, but they have like family or friends that are here, and they'll come and stay here when we're filming. So that way they're local. But yeah, so you can find it in my Facebook page, Rick Danford, and we're looking to cast soon.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And as per usual, so far in this show, I've been the king of segues. Go from your film to another Indiegogo film, Hellvire's Haunted Asylum of Horror. Hellvire on the Run is actually the short. This Hellvire's Haunted Asylum of Horror is the feature. And that one's Hellfire on the Run has already been chosen for the film festival. So that is at
Right.
least one film that you will get to check out.
Oh,
Um,
that's a fun film.
that is that is pretty fun. Very very original, and that's why I love indie horror.
Oh yeah.
That's why I've said it numerous times on this show. I love indie horror for the creativity, the lack of restrictions.
Restrictions. Yes.
Yeah, you can really let your creative juices go and
Yeah.
go into untraveled territory, undiscovered territory, and it's great. And that's
Mhm.
that's what we like. You find a lot of good entertaining stuff. I have seen through the submissions, I have seen some very, very good films in the submissions, and I can't wait to get down there, man. It is going to be
Yeah.
so much fun. It's been a minute since I've been to a con, but this one's going to be special.
Yeah.
For me. And for all of us getting to meet all of you guys. Don't tear up, it's
Yeah, I
okay.
know. I'm just keep thinking about the Junkie family picture. You know what I'm saying? And it chokes me up. I can't wait.
I know. Yes, Amy, there is a lot of great horror films coming to that to the film festival, and the fact that it's the very first
Yeah.
Indie horror junkie of many. I see many in the future
Me too.
because there's really no stopping us at this
No,
point. There's no stopping us. The merch is starting to flow. The appearances at conventions are starting to flow. And hey, look, don't forget, we got the Florida Horror Con too coming up
that's right.
next September, which is pretty much the Junkies bringing a horror con, to you people down there in
That's right.
Florida. That is gonna be fun if all goes well. Maybe we may do a live show down there. That would be fun.
That would
Do
be sweet. Yeah.
to do a live show. Yeah, Jamie says she can't wait for that one too. I'm very much looking forward for our indie horror junkie family photo. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, it's gonna be
And you've
great.
never been to Florida, have you?
I've been to
You haven't?
Florida. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Fun little fact. My dad he used to drive a truck, and
Mhm.
before I was 2 years old, I'd been to every continental state.
Wow.
I don't remember any of it,
Wow.
and
Of course not.
uh,
At 2 years old, I would hope not.
Exactly, right? What a great memory I would have had. Surprise, surprise, Miss April Hunter has joined us. So
Yes.
let us take and play a little trailer from I'm assuming one of her most recent
Yep.
projects, being it came out this year, Kill City Cup.
Yep.
I wanted to say cop or club for some reason, but Kill City Cup, and then we're going to come back with Miss April Hunter.
Welcome to the Kill City Cup. I got the world by the ball.
Oh my goodness, I had to take an ibuprofen just watching that. Welcome, April. You're doing some podcast bouncing around. You just had your own podcast, and you got over here to talk with us. Thank you. How are you this evening?
I'm
Nice.
doing well. Thanks for having me. So sorry I'm a little bit late.
Oh,
Oh.
no worries. It was just in time. We were running out of things to talk about. Man, so much to talk about. A wrestler. Okay, now we were talking about how we grew up watching wrestling, and again, man, what athletes? I mean, how long have you been doing this? I mean, it's got to be rough on your body.
Terrible for your body. And
It's
they tell
horrible.
you that when you join too. They'll tell you, they're like, you're going to really hurt. You probably shouldn't do this. You're going to pay for it later. And you're like, okay. And you just get in the
Yep.
ring and start, you're like, it probably won't happen to me. It'll happen to you.
Oh, I can't
Um,
imagine how it couldn't.
yeah, everything. It's funny. I just went, I've been doing this since, well, previous to this, I was a burlesque dancer. So that was beating me up as well. But I started wrestling in 1999 and actually made my debut in WCW in 2000 and then got fully trained at Killer Kowalski's in 2000, at the end of 2000, 2001. But it's funny, I went the other day for an X-ray because my collarbone keeps popping in and out. It's like dislocated, and I'm touching it and it hurts, and I'm like, there's got to be something wrong with this. It's more than just that. So I went in and they did the front and the back, and they called me today. They're like, we have the results. I'm like, is it fractured? It's probably fractured, right? They're like, nope, you just have arthritis. I'm like, is that it?
Hmm.
Are you sure? Did you read it right? So
Yeah.
I was like, shit, really? So yeah, that's what you feel like. You feel like everything is broken,
Yeah.
but it's just arthritis. So
I can't even imagine because I've done a lot of physical labor for the past 30 some years, and I've always said if I wake up and I'm not in pain, I would think I died in my
mind,
sleep.
right?
You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
and I've had the same thing. It's like, man, I think I've done something to my back, and I think it's all serious and everything. And then I go, and they're like, no, you just have some arthritis going down your spine. What? That's
Mm.
it? This is
Right.
horrible. Please
Right. Right.
stop
It's like
this.
exactly on one hand, it's like if they tell you that having arthritis feels like you've broken your back, you probably wouldn't have done things. But if you didn't do things, you wouldn't have such fantastic stories to tell.
That's true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What kind speaking of which, what kind of fun stories do you have from your wrestling career?
Oh my gosh. I have more stories than I have so many stories, and I've written about some of them that people keep asking me, when are you going to do the book? When are you going to do the biography? When are you going to do it? So yeah, I've got a lot. What would you like to hear about?
Anything involving, let's say, maybe a wrestler that we all may know, a
There
funny
you go.
story, anything.
Let's see.
And you could
Oh,
tell without getting sued.
right.
Yeah,
I know
right.
that's the trick right there.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think. You have to give me like name somebody, and maybe I'll have a story for them.
Mm.
Hulk
Uh,
Hogan.
Hulk Hogan. I don't know him very well.
Yeah.
When I first joined, not when I joined, when I first got hired to WCW, they put me with the NWO because I didn't really know what to do with us. And at that point,
Mhm.
it was Scott Steiner and it was Hogan and my brain is like recall is slow. Um, Kevin Nash,
Mm.
and
Kevin
it was
Nash.
the,
Yeah.
the twins and Scott Hall, and we were put with Scott Steiner that particular night to come out as his entourage, and my interactions with Hogan were limited, so I didn't really know him that well. But I've heard good and bad, so
Mhm.
I've heard good and bad.
Mhm.
Um, so there you go. I
It,
wish I had
it,
a really
it
good story there.
yeah, there's good and bad in everybody, I guess. It just depends on who you ask. Some people are gonna see more bad than good, and some people, vice versa.
Is he
Um,
as big in real life as he looks on TV?
Yes.
Yeah, because he looks
Orange white
massive.
ones.
Yeah, and so is Kevin Nash. Nash is a giant. Um, no, Scott Steiner is actually like my height. And
Hmm.
what's funny is Steiner's actually a really good guy. He got written about badly a lot, like we call them the dirt sheets. The dirt sheets would, always go after him, but he was actually a really good guy. And he had no problems with being surrounded by a bunch of women that were very tall in high heels and towering over him. He loved that. So,
Well,
yeah,
here's one from the chat. If maybe you have a story, Mick Foley.
yeah, Mick Foley's actually a friend.
Hmm.
Let's see. Uh, I always joke around, call Mick like Mick has a very deep emo streak in him. He
Hmm.
loves like the female folk singers. He loves going to like live music and the guitars, the female singers, and doing that. I'm like, you're like a teenage emo girl, you know that? But yeah, I tease him all the time. But he's a good dude, Mick is. So
Cool.
yeah.
Now that Kill City Cup movie that you're in, okay? That obviously is a wrestling movie of some kind or whatever. It's been
Yes.
submitted to my Indie Horror Junkie Film
Yeah.
Fest as well. I haven't had a chance to review it, but tell us a little bit about that because the trailer pretty much just shows wrestling. What's the storyline and what's your involvement in that?
My involvement is not as maximal as it could have been.
Mhm.
I would come out. I'm not wrestling in it. I'm managing in it. The story is a dystopian future where Mr. Kill runs everything. It's kind of like a Hunger Games in the way.
Mhm.
So he takes great pleasure with his queen Gia, having everybody fight to the death for fun to see who wins, and
Fight
whoever
to the death
wins,
for fun?
yes, just for fun.
It's
So
not
course.
fun if you lose,
yeah,
obviously.
That's
no,
right. Yeah. I got you.
So it's a whole tournament where you are eliminated. If you obviously don't win, you die. And it is you go through the whole, it's about an hour long, and it's a fight to the death all the way through for the freedom and the, place to reside and to be in Mr. Kill's favor.
There's one way of putting it. Mortal Kombat meets wrestling.
Yes, exactly.
That's
And
it.
it's very
Yeah.
comic book. It's very it's wrestling meets comic books meets gaming. So it's different than you would think. It's not just wrestling. It is over the top. With it's fun and it has its own niche. So it's not like
Yeah,
it's not like WWE or yeah.
I actually checked it out, or most of it anyway. I got sidetracked and had to step away, but it does to me. It was like, even though the wrestling seems like such a big part of it, there's actually that story behind it, so it actually in turn turns out to be a smaller part than you would think, even though that's what you see a lot of. It's not the whole, it's not a wrestling film, as you said. There is that story behind it, but this is how they, this is the means to the end.
Yes.
All pun intended, I guess.
Yes, you just phrased that much better than I did. Yeah, and the guy who put it together, Luke, has busted his rear end pushing this, and he did a really great job with it, and a great job kind of putting everybody together with it. And we got to all play characters, so it was fun. So Facebook user, I'm not sure that is, but said you should see some of the face of the camera guys. So it was a very fun thing to do, because we got to play. You have wrestlers in there from everything, from AEW, from Ring of Honor and Lucha and WWE and everybody, all in there, but nobody's playing their normal role. They're all charactered out in something different, with all the makeup on and different things. So that was a lot of fun for, I think, all of us to do. So I was just playing like a Viking, my hair all braided up and all the makeup on and everything. So
Where was that shot?
I was shot in Largo, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Or around Largo, Florida. Yeah. So
very cool.
What? So what is this meat puppet? I have to know a little bit more about this. I did, read a little bit about, well, basically on IMDb, it just says, he has a taste for beautiful women. And I figured, well, that doesn't really tell me
It
a whole
doesn't narrow
lot.
it down. Not at all.
But
No.
the cover art gives you a little bit of insight. But tell me more about Meat Puppet.
The movie or my character in there?
Both.
A little bit of both, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a serial killer. He specifically, kills women, and every time he kills, it's almost like a Catholic self-flagellation thing. After he kills, he goes and visits two dominatrixes who will beat the ever-living hell out of him in every way possible. And that part was played by myself and an American Gladiator used to be Fury. So
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So we had, me on one side, her on the other, and we were just, beating him after each kill. So it was
So that's intriguing. That's really
that
all
is
I
very
need
intriguing.
to know.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really all I need to know. Where can is it on any streaming services? Where can people check
That's
that
a good
out?
question. I actually put a list together at Halloween with all the horror movies I was in, and I put that on Instagram and Facebook. But at that time, I'm not sure if the Meat Puppet was on anything streaming. It might be on like Amazon Prime, I think.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if it has moved since then.
Some
It's been,
digging.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'll have to do some digging on into that one. So horror. I mean, acting and wrestling. There is a little bit of acting and wrestling, when it comes to, storylines and things of that nature. You are playing a character. So to me, there is a correlation between that and, acting in a movie.
Mhm.
Is what came first, kind of the chicken or the egg, the acting or the wrestling? Because you're doing both. One of them probably had to, start the other one, I guess.
I think wrestling came first. I was modeling and then wrestling. Yeah. So I said Playboy. Yeah, I just modeling. I was doing fitness, and Playboy actually was what got me into wrestling. And then, yeah, I think
Playboy got you into wrestling?
more or less, yeah. I not Playboy itself, but the layout. Yeah, I was seen that way. So
Oh, I see. Okay, I
yeah,
got you. All right.
I got more coverage with
yeah.
less
Exposure,
coverage.
yes.
More
Hey,
coverage
more
with less coverage.
exposure.
Yes.
Right.
So I got more exposure with exposure. So
Yes, gotcha.
yeah, so that's how I ended up getting into wrestling, and then I got I believe oh, wait a second. No, I am
Uh-oh.
wrong. I'm wrong. I actually did a couple of things before wrestling. As a matter of fact, actually, I'm really wrong. The irony here was I actually played a wrestler before I started wrestling. So in Japan, I did a Toyota commercial where I played a wrestler. So, and
Wow.
it was a fun car go for a small car where they wanted to prove they could pack a lot of things in there. And they had two wrestlers. Yeah, you can look it up. It's online. If you look up Toyota Fun Cargo April Hunter, Japan, you'll see it. And it's a fun little commercial. But that was the first thing I did, and then everything else came. And then yeah.
So playing a wrestler in the car commercial, is that what made you think like, wow, maybe I want to wrestle?
That was like a foretelling, wasn't it?
Was it? Yeah, it almost seems like it might have been.
I know, it's kind of weird. I'm like, wow, I'm playing a wrestler. That's so weird. Then I got hired in wrestling. So yeah.
Wow, very cool. So also you're in this other little horror movie that we've got premiering tomorrow called The Clock. How about that?
I know.
Yes, very excited about that.
I am too. I have never. I've done these movies here and there and everywhere, and I know like the house collapse in that one. I did one in Japan that went into theaters and did all right. But I've never personally been able to see anything I've done on a big screen in a theater. So
And we're going to break that tomorrow, right?
tomorrow will be the first time. Yes. So I'm
That's
excited
awesome.
about that.
That's great. What kind of acting plans do you have set for the future? Do you have any projects that you may be working on here soon?
At the moment, no. It's kind of like whatever. If something comes my way, I'm thrilled to death to give it a try. So I don't really. Mostly my genre right now is doing podcasts and cosplay and trying to, if interesting opportunities come my way, I definitely jump on them though.
Oh yeah, talk to us about these children's books, because you are
Yeah.
also an author of children's books.
I
And
am. I should have had one here with me.
me and Rick were talking, a little bit before we went on, and I have a grandson. I'm curious about these stories that you're telling here.
Well, I wish
I
I should have grabbed one.
I saw one when you came out, remember? At your table when you came out at Cinema 6?
Yes, you did. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Now I'm looking at right there. There we go. I had a school project. I went back to Full Sail University as an adult. I graduated in 2019. I've always been a writer, and I wrote a bunch of different things, but one of the classes I really liked, it's probably because I never grew up, was children's entertainment. I could have taken that class over and over again. And one of the projects we had in there was to take a fairy tale and alter it and modernize it, make it ours. So I always liked The Ugly Duckling. So I took that and made it into a story about a corgi that did not fit in on a farm. They was being teased and picked on because he had no beautiful tail like the horses, and he had short stubby stumps, and everybody, the pigs had picked on him, the cows picked on him, everybody picked on him. They thought he was ugly and useless and disgusting. Turns out he was just in the wrong place. So when things happened later, and thank you, you guys in the chat, I appreciate that. When things happened later, when the queen came to town and she had her jewels, stolen, and all these long legs and tails got in the way of trying to pursue Hal, the thief. But this little corgi that had little legs and no tail was able to go after the thief. So it was right place, right time. So yeah, it's called Monty, A Tale of No Tail.
A Tale of No Tail. I love that.
Yep.
That's
And I was
awesome.
yeah, I was lucky when at that particular time, the woman Rebecca who illustrated it for me, she worked for Disney, but she was on a break and looking for something to do. So I literally had it edited or illustrated it from a woman who worked for Disney and took pity on me. After going through 6 other artists who said, yeah, I'll do it, and then did like a page or 2 and dropped it. So
that's great.
Yeah.
You started talking about, the corgi and the, short stubby legs. I got a little pug. So yeah, I can kind of relate. And did I notice there when you held your phone up, is that's available on Amazon?
It is. Oh, thank you. The fox was the worst. Thank you. Somebody's asking, will there be a second book? I don't know. That's a good question. I actually wrote it. It's on Amazon. It's actually everywhere. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Smashwords. You can even find it through Walmart. Everywhere you can find books online, you can get it. And it's a softback hard copy. So you can get it. You can get it through online or have it sent to you. I wrote it for TV. So I've got 2 seasons of TV for it. So I could literally do a second book. Because I have all the way through to season 3 written for it, but we never really, we had a meeting with a group with children's entertainment with one time, and then the strike started. The first was the writer's strike, and then it was the actor strike, and they, basically it was like just sit tight, and so here we are. So I guess that's one thing to pursue again.
So are you said you're mainly doing your the podcast. Now what about you're also a fitness model. So I seen in the chat somebody had mentioned, remember seeing you in fitness magazines. Is this also something you do? You like fitness videos and things like not that I'm asking for myself. Again. I think I threw my back out, tying my shoe earlier. So, but is that also something that you do on the side, with the podcast, the fitness stuff?
That's one of the topics that we talk about a lot on the podcast. I don't do fitness videos, but I do a lot. I've been involved in health and wellness and medical research and all that since my early 20s. And helping people kind of live their healthiest, best life. Because honestly, being healthy right now is the biggest act of rebellion you could do, that, and not falling for manipulation and loving everybody, not falling for the divide and conquer. Right. So, getting along with people and being healthy, you're a rebel. But health and fitness is something that has always been a big deal to me. I think people complicate it unnecessarily, and I like to try and help people with fit tips and things. Like, you don't have to spend 2 hours a day in the gym. You can actually get in pretty good shape in 20 minutes. You just can break it down. Even if you can, something's always better than nothing. So these, watch out. It's not the meat, it's not the carbs, it's the sugar. So breaking it down into simple terms for people.
That's awesome. So I mean, you named a handful of good tips. Can you give us any more tips? Well, what can you do, other than cutting out sugar for that 20 minutes where you're not spending all this money in memberships at gyms? I mean, how much is physical and how much is what you put in your body? I would think what you put in your body is gonna outweigh. It's 80%, than going and doing push-ups and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's 75 or 80% is your diet or what you're putting into your, into your face basically. So,
Mhm.
even if you can't work out, watch, be aware of what you're eating, eat smaller portions, use smaller plates because psychologically if you're seeing a big empty plate, and your
You
little
want to
food is
fill it.
here, right? So if you go to smaller plates, it makes you feel, like you're eating more and you're full.
Interesting.
Um, you can eat more frequently throughout the day. Try having 4 or 5, maybe even 6 meals that are smaller. You can eat before bed, but you have to eat protein. So you have to watch all forms of sugar. Somebody put in the high fructose corn syrup. Yes. Yes. Learn every name for high fructose corn syrup. Oh,
Mhm.
somebody called me Big Red. That must be a long term fan there. You guys know, you know me. You know me. Um, high fructose corn syrup started becoming very profitable and commonly used in the late 80s
Yeah.
because it was cheaper than sugar and extended the shelf life of food. So all of a sudden bread was lasting forever and milk lasts forever. And it's in things you don't even think it's going to be in. It's in processed meats, it's in cheese, th- it's in a lot of things. But if
Yeah.
it's processed, there's probably high fructose corn syrup. And the
Sure.
problem with it, that's when you start to see this huge spike in type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
It spikes your insulin faster than sugar. So if you are eating things and you're going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, even if if you're not aware of it, eventually your insulin is going to give out, and then you're a type 2 diabetic. So be aware of what you're eating and what's in the food. So pay attention to that and avoid the processed foods. So that's
And
a big
that's
thing.
so hard these days. I mean,
But
because
it's
it
it's
just
really
seems
not.
it seems to me, and that's why we have you here to talk about it. Yeah. It seems to me that it's like everything is bad for you. So I think people just be like, that don't understand, that don't understand that it's not really like that, but it just seems like everything is so bad for you. They figure, why even try? I'm just going to eat whatever I like anyway.
Okay, so let me give you an example.
Okay.
In most cases, now not every diet is good for everybody. There are some
Sure.
people who should never be vegans, and there are some people who should never eat paleo. So you should really figure out what your blood type is and eat according to that. Like for example, if you're type A, you do great with a vegan diet. But if you're type O, you should never be vegan. You are a meat eater and you need that because you have a high acid stomach acid, and that's why if you're not eating enough meat and fat, you're going to have a lot of hiatal hernia and heartburn.
Yeah.
Whereas type A doesn't have much acid at all, so they have a hard time breaking down red meat. So
Mm.
learn your blood type and pay attention to that. But if you 9 times out of 10, bacon and eggs is a better breakfast for you than cereal.
Hmm.
So milk and processed cereal with sugar is not good.
Yeah.
So just bacon and eggs is a better choice.
Well,
Bacon,
thanks
eggs,
for
and
ruining my midnight snack.
I'm
Put
sorry.
your fruity pebbles away,
I
Otis.
know,
That's
I know. I'm
exactly what I got in
sorry.
there too.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right because I love a good bacon and eggs, a big plate of bacon and eggs.
Yeah.
I love eggs. Now, what
Yeah.
about somebody like myself, who appears that, because I don't eat the 3 square meals a day. I don't do that. I'm kind of the person that has to almost snack
Mhm.
throughout the day. Otherwise, it seems like my blood sugar is up,
Mhm.
down, and I've had issues where I black out,
Mhm.
and things like that, having seizures. I'm not diabetic. I've been tested, but those
Hmm.
things happen. How does somebody like that avoid that? I was told probably, ingest more protein. That was
Yeah.
suggested to me. So, what would be your suggestion?
You're trying to stabilize your blood sugar, so I would suggest to you to graze. I call it grazing. So just eat all day long,
Yeah.
and eat things with fat. That helps. So nuts, if you're not adverse to, walnuts, almonds, cheese, apples are very low glycemic, but if you're not diabetic, you don't have to worry about the glycemic index necessarily.
Right.
Definitely eat more proteins. You can, just eat all day long and eat small meals. So take your regular meals, right, and just break them into small meals and have them whenever.
Mm.
So if you
Okay,
normally
because
make
that's kind of what it's almost kind of what I do now. I'll usually eat like one big meal at like, dinner when I, get home from work, and it's usually later at night. But I'll snack, just sandwich for lunch, and then I'll just snack on a few things throughout the day, and that's really all I can do.
That's my problem too. And two of the things that I've personally found that help are liquid egg whites, liquid pasteurized egg whites. So you're drinking them like protein. I add a little bit of
Tequila?
yes. I add a little bit of flavored coffee creamer to them.
Ah, okay.
They taste like a chocolate
Uh,
milk or something, or vanilla milk or whatever.
you say coffee creamer, Rick says tequila. To each his own.
Right, exactly. So
Mhm.
yeah, liquid egg whites and that green smoothie juice. I don't, not at the same time, but you have your egg whites, you have your protein, you have your green smoothie juice, and that's like a whole meal right there. You're drinking it instead of eating it, and there you go.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I'm also one. I'm guessing my metabolism is quite high. I have such a hard time gaining weight. That was
Mm.
always, a big issue for me. Thought about protein shakes. No, I bet you nobody in the chat thought we were going to be talking about this.
No, nope.
I didn't sure either, but hey, I'm okay to talk about it.
Yeah.
Molly Zombie says she adds a scoop of protein to give it flavor. Yes. You can also throw, if you really want to do it up, you can do the protein with the egg whites and then throw in like a banana or avocado or whatever you want and some honey. And you can just do that thing right on up, and it's a pretty good meal.
Avocado is one of those superfoods they call, but isn't it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it fills you up. And for you, it's got a lot of calories, so that helps with you trying to gain some weight.
Awesome. All
There you go.
right. So,
Right. I was
now
going
I'm
to
gonna
say, segueing back to the movies part real quick here.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out a way to do that.
Yeah, I just did. There you go.
I was getting into that talk.
You said you've been in a lot of horror movies, right?
I don't know about a lot, but a fair amount in small parts. Yes.
Okay. Do you enjoy making horror films?
Yes.
What is it you enjoy most about the horror films, the horror genre in general?
Honestly, the fans.
Yes, that's one of the biggest things a
They're-
lot of people talk about.
Yeah.
Yes, because the fans are so different. They are just, it's a different mentality. They
Yep.
love coming to the conventions. They
Mhm.
are into horror. They love it. And they're just fun. They're fun.
Yep.
So
I've heard that
yeah.
from so many people. That it's the fan base and people following those particular characters or those particular films and the people you meet at the conventions and everything. I mean, it's a whole different mentality. It really is.
Yep.
I mean,
I work
because
a lot of
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say I work a lot of Comic Cons too, and sometimes that crosses over to anime and wrestling conventions too. And just no comparison. The horror fans are so much better. And I mean no disrespect to wrestling fans and anime fans and Comic Con fans, but it's just they are just up here,
It
So
does. Yeah, it does seem like, and honestly, I've only been to like 2 conventions so far. And it reminded me, I've been to a lot more, concerts, metal shows, festivals, things like that. And it's the same. It reminds me of the same kind of, feeling. You go to one of these, festivals, metal shows, you got 100,000 people you've never met before.
mhm.
And you end up walking away sometimes with lifelong friends.
Yes.
But there is like a camaraderie. It
Yes.
is very, very weird. I mean, you go to these conventions and just everybody is there for the same. It's like Halloween. I don't know. It's so hard to, really put my finger on, but it is. It's like one big family. It's crazy.
Mhm. Yep.
The,
I have
the
lifelong friends
dedication.
from horror conventions. The same thing. They are better to me than some of my, regular friends. So
Hmm.
Wow. Yeah.
Have you ever been to MegaCon, April?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that show?
It is a big show. You're talking about I did MegaCon Orlando once or twice, and then the one in Tampa. They did it once.
Yeah, I
The one
was
in
a
Tampa
fan.
was pretty. It was the first time they did it in Tampa at that particular
Right.
time, so it wasn't as well attended. But the one in Orlando, I was like, oh my god, you had to walk forever to get to the main
Yeah.
showroom. Yeah, it was a good showing. Yeah.
Well, I'm
Are
not sure
you?
if you're aware of this, but we're having
Yeah.
our first Indie Horror Junkie Film Festival at MegaCon Orlando in February. And there
Ah.
is a chance, I'm not saying anything to anybody, but there's a chance that Kill City Cup might be playing there as well as the clock. So just throwing this out there that if you'd love to come out there and attend, we're all going to be in attendance and we'd love to have you a part of that show.
Ooh, when's the date on that?
We're going to be there February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I would love to be
All
there.
right. I'll keep needling you between now and then.
That works. That's such
I'm-
a great time to be in Florida too. I mean, that is the time. Like, it really is.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna even take a break from the Midwest 9 to 5. I'm up here in the Midwest in Ohio, and I'm coming down to meet all the junkies, and it's gonna be a fun time, man. We look forward to. It'd be nice to meet up with you. And is that in your neck of the woods, Orlando? You're down in Florida.
Not
right?
really. It's a couple hours, but it's it's not that far. So
Yeah. Well, that's
depending
awesome.
on traffic, it could be anywhere from 2 hours to 5 hours.
That is true,
Yeah.
depending on when you leave.
Yeah, depending
Right.
on what day it is, what time of the season it is, how people are. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because that's the thing is it's out there by Disney. So it's like depending on when you go, they got all that Disney traffic that's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
Yep.
can only imagine.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
I remember coming. I was coming back from Full Sail University when I graduated, and that was a 4-hour drive back. And I was like, God, I remember this was 90 minutes. But we got so many people moving to Florida. It just got so congested and crazy here, and that was before COVID. It's like Florida got so. We got all the I know there's so many people here from California now,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of cool because hopefully they bring some of their, their California talents out here. Hopefully they don't vote the same way, in the way that screwed up their own state. But hopefully they bring all their movie making and all that cool stuff here.
Yeah, well, it's coming. It's here and it's in Georgia. This seems to be the
Yes.
new hub right now. Is this whole area? So, I mean, with the tax, I mean, the big thing here in Florida though is
No
they're
tax
so
breaks.
screwed up when it comes to the tax breaks. Yeah, we don't give them like Georgia. I mean, just that movie with Ben Affleck. What was it? I forget what it was. Where he the whole movie was about Ybor City. And when you go to Georgia to film that and create Ybor City there in Georgia, that's saying something.
Yeah.
Why not film it in Ybor City right
Yeah.
here? But that's because our government is so screwed up. So
Yeah, that was a Dennis Lehane, the Dennis Lehane story, right?
I think it was something about the night or whatever it is. It was about a nightclub. Yeah. But the whole movie takes place in Ybor City, and I'm like, and then you go to Georgia to recreate what you already have here, but that's all because of the tax breaks and stuff they got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
It was funny where I was watching on the stuff on the news, and they were talking about this massive death toll in Florida. I was like, no, there's not, because that's what I do with the podcast is like do all the research. I'm like, what are they doing that for? Then at the same time, if you look at the numbers don't lie. We not only retained a seat in the House, but we gained one. So it's like if we had all this massive death toll, wouldn't we have lost a seat in the House or kept the seat? But we gained it. It was just like, I think the media is lying about things. You guys,
pushing their narrative.
Yeah. I think there's some lying going here with these numbers. But Florida gained a seat in the House during all of that.
Well,
so do you have any upcoming horror movies that you know about that you might be in the running for?
Yours.
Oh, that's right. Well, you were in the clock. So yeah, we definitely have the other one we're going to talk about for sure. But nobody else, nothing else going on that's on the back burner that you have kicking around you can chat about?
Gosh, not I'm blanking right now. Not at the moment because, like I said, I was hoping to do more, but the strike kind of put so much on hold
Yeah. Yeah.
that every iron I had in the fire just kind of like bloop, you know,
Yeah.
and they just went back to work last week. So
Just a couple days ago. I think they just ratified this thing. I think yesterday or today, something
yeah,
like that.
so
Yeah.
I guess now it's time to start, picking up the phone and start
Yeah.
hustling again. So yeah, so yeah, cheers.
Okay. Absolutely. Anything in
What
closing there, Otis?
I just have one little
Mhm.
question. What is your favorite type of when you're playing in a horror film? Do you want to be the final girl, or do you want to be the one the final girl is running from?
Ooh. Um,
Because
ah,
you mentioned with the meat puppet
yeah,
one, you got to beat the hell out of this
yeah.
dude. So do you like to be the villain, maybe?
I do like being the villain. Yeah, in wrestling, I loved playing the heel. I love playing the bad guy. I enjoy that very much. Yes.
That's that, I kind of got that impression. I'm not, I'm not. I think you do a great villain.
I'll keep that
Well,
in mind for our film, April.
there you
Yeah,
go.
there you
I think
go.
I play a pretty good bad guy. And it was funny in wrestling. Killer Kowalski used to say, in real life, the heels in wrestling are baby faces in real life, and the baby faces in wrestling are heels in real life.
Mm,
Ooh.
So
that's deep.
I
Yeah.
found that to be true. So take that as you may with any of your favorites out there. So
That's
Mhm.
that's great.
That does
Well,
something to be said for that.
mhm.
I know you're probably wanting to get away from the mic. You just what is your podcast? Where can people listen to your podcast to get all their fitness needs and tips? Throw that out
You
there.
Yeah, you guys can find me. It's really easy. The A Show with April Hunter. We're on YouTube. We're on all the major podcast platforms. We are on Twitch and Rumble as well. So you can also look me up, patreon.com, April Hunter. I'm on Instagram under Real April Hunter. So those are my main things right there.
And your podcast airs the once a week on Wednesdays.
Yep. Yep. It's on
Uh,
Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern.
okay.
So, which is
Uh,
why I
oh,
was late to yours. Thank you.
no
Thank
worries.
you for coming.
Yes. Thank you for taking the time out and doing a little podcast hopping from one to another. We wish you much success in the future. Look forward to seeing the clock and this new scene that was put in featuring yourself. I have not yet seen the clock. There's no privileges here when you're on the Indie Horror Junkie podcast. I got to wait like everybody else. So I
Well,
can't wait.
you'll see it at the Indie Horror Junkie Film Fest.
There you go,
Okay.
February 2nd and 4th, and maybe Miss April will be there as well. That would be pretty awesome because we're gonna have a lot of cool people, that's gonna be hanging out there watching some good indie horror films. Thank you, April, so much
Thank you.
for
So
taking the time and chatting with us a little bit about fitness and children's books. Again, you can get the children's books anywhere books are.
yes, any
Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Amazon.
Amazon.
mhm. Yep.
Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, that sounds like it's gonna be a party in Orlando.
Yes, it is. And like I said, I'll send you all the details. And if you have the time and your availability, we'd love to have you a part of it.
Awesome. That sounds like a good time to me.
All
All right.
right. If you
Once again,
if
we'll talk to you soon.
All
yeah,
right,
if
cool.
you
Thank you
if
for
you
having me on.
hey, you're very welcome. And if you have to run, go ahead. But if you have a minute, we'd like to say bye to you
Okay.
off the show. So we'll put you back there. Man, that was great. That was awesome,
Yeah,
man.
she's great. She's wonderful to talk to. I got to talk to her a couple of times. I had her over at the Cinema Six Theater for a couple of small festivals we had there, and most of the time we got to just spend there chatting. And she's just wonderful to talk to, and she's got obviously many talents. So
Oh yes, somebody said a Jackie of all trades. Yes, and that's always good because
yeah,
you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, and then
nope,
something happens there. You got something to fall back on, and of course, fitness seems like her passion. So the podcast is probably a work of passion, I would imagine.
I
Just
agree.
as this one is with us. So next week we have Stephen. I don't have my glasses here. Let me film.
Stephen Biro.
Okay, Stephen Biro. He's a film distributor, owner of Unearthed Filmed, and he's also an author. We're getting all kinds of authors in here, man. This is going to be awesome. So don't forget to set your notification, hit the little notification bell, and please sub over there at the YouTube channel, and you will be notified every time the show gets scheduled. Thank you, Rotting Ricky D. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for joining us. It's been a great time as always. And as they say in the biz, Rotting Ricky D,
we'll see you next Wednesday.